What's going on, guys? This is Ian Stark with White Wave Capital, and today I want to talk about seller carrybacks. So a seller carryback is whenever the seller of a property holds back a portion of the note, a portion of the equity, or a portion of the property. Note, equity, property, they all mean the same thing. They're holding back a portion of it. So it's almost like a way to think of it is like a reverse owner financing situation. So in most owner financing situations, the buyer will, bring some money to the closing table, and the owner, the seller, becomes the bank. Then they finance, they hold back, 80%, 70%, 50% of the property, and they basically make their money through interest payments with the owner or with the new buyer. So with the owner carryback, it's a reverse of that, because when we do an owner carryback, we're going to still get debt from a bank. So for us as buyers, this is a huge value add. The reason being is that we oftentimes have to raise little to no equity or bring little to no of our own cash to the table, because the owner's holding back the difference between, our bank loan and what we need to close with. And yeah, it saves us a lot of time, and we'll usually have to pay less of an interest rate to this owner than we would to investors. I've seen owner carryback structured as a 5% interest rate, 4% interest rate, 6% interest rate, and most of the time I'm looking to pay my investors, my partners, a preferred return, or at least a cash on cash return of 10+%. So for us, it's awesome. It'd be great for a scenario where all my investors, all my partners are tapped out. They're like, hey, Ian, I got my money in all your other deals. I don't got any other money I want to invest right now. Count me out on this one. Let me know once you sell or refinance your other deals. Then I'm like, all right, let's look to do a owner carryback. So the value adds for us as investors is little to no money we have to bring to the table. We get to create a relationship with the seller. So this opens up the door for us to continue the dialogue, continue the relationship with the seller. They'll see that, hey, I get to work with these guys. I get to see firsthand how they work, how they operate. They'll get to see how we're going to continually pay them and do everything we say we're going to do, continue to take care of and improve the property, and make them more money than if we were to just cash them out and write them a check at closing. And how we're able to make them more money is because instead of taking that check at closing and paying taxes on it, now their money's still in the deal and they're still going to make a rate of return on it. So it's pretty sweet. It's a really good situation for us and the seller. And I'm really excited to start incorporating this in our offers and in our acquisitions. So I put together a slideshow. I'm going to share it with you guys of some benefits specifically for owners of doing a carryback, and let's get to it. So I love this picture. I think it's really cool. I love the skyscrapers. They're inspiring. So yeah, drag myself down. So some benefits for an owner to do a carryback, to hold back a portion of the note, a portion of the equity, is, like I said earlier, they won't be responsible for all their capital gains taxes at once. If an owner were to not carry back the note and not do a 1031 exchange, they could be liable for up to a 20% long-term capital gains tax rate on the profits from their sale. So, factor in the, do some calculations. That's a lot of money you're giving away to Uncle Sam. That's a lot of money you could save and you can make more of by holding back a portion of that note and not taking a fat check. They can slowly realize their profits and gains over time, and essentially lower their tax liability as well. They can do this because, the way we structure the carryback, the way we structure their payouts, they can basically take a portion of the principal off the table each year, and depending on their income situation, depending on their tax liability situation, they could pay very little to almost no taxes on basically their profits from the sale, and continue to make more money on their money. And another benefit to that is that they still own a piece of the deal. If they really like this property and they just didn't want to manage it anymore, they wanted someone else to take it over, they can still, be a part of it. They're still a partner in the deal. They still can watch the property flourish and be a part of that value add, that flourishing, that that they can be a part of it. They're a partner. They're still getting rent checks. They're still getting paid. They still own a piece of it. So it really is a huge value add for us and the owner. And it also allows the owner to build that relationship with us. Like I said, they can see how we operate. They can see what we do. And let's say this owner has 5, 10, 20 more properties and they're looking to retire. Like, well, shoot, I'm going to go call these guys up and keep the good times rolling. They pay me every month. They take care of my properties, and I like working with them. So I'm going to keep doing that. So those are some good reasons. Some more reasons. Put together a little example for you guys. So the return on investment of owner carryback. So like I said earlier, along with lowering the tax liability, they continue to earn a return on their money as opposed to just taking a check and put it in the bank. So I put together an example. So let's say we're going to buy a property for $10 million, and the owner of this property they owe $6 million to the bank. They owe $6 million of debt. So their equity value in the property is $4 million. So at the closing table, they'll be getting a $4 million check. All right. There's a couple things they could do with that. They could take all that $4 million and put it in their bank account. They could take it and blow it, go to Vegas. Or they could work with us and do a 20% carryback at a 5% annual interest rate for 5 years, no prepayment. So what that would look like, and this is structured more as a debt loan. You can do carrybacks as an equity or a debt loan. I personally would like to, depending on the property, depending on the situation, I like a debt loan better because it's a set fixed interest rate. But if the property's cash flow doesn't support it, then we'll do it as an equity play. And then we'll just pay them back 20% of the profits and the rent rolls of the property. So in this case, we structure as a debt loan. So at closing, us, the buyers, we have a loan for 80% of loan to cost of the property. So for $8 million, we agree with the seller to hold back $2 million, so 20% of the equity. So they hold back $2 million. Over the next 5 years of ownership with this structure of the loan, that seller will have made $4.5 million. They'll have made $500,000 of interest just holding back their money. So, 5% of $2 million over the next 5 years is $500,000. 5% each year is $100,000. Their monthly interest is $8,333. And if you ask me, I'd rather take $4.5 million over $3.2 million, losing $800,000 to taxes. So, this is just a simple example of what it could look like, a very simple, elementary example of a debt structured loan, seller carryback. There's a lot of ways to skin the cat, but yeah, this is what it could look like. Instead of, getting cash out at closing and just taking their money and paying taxes on it, paying at 20% long-term capital gains, it's $800,000 of taxes. They keep their money in the deal, virtually pay little to no taxes depending on their situation, depending on their other properties and other income, and make an extra $500,000 over the next 5 years, completely passively. So I am a huge advocate for seller carrybacks. I think they're awesome. I think they're a great way to close deals as well as build relationships with more sellers, and build better relationships with the sellers you're working with. Because the thing with real estate, the thing with commercial real estate especially, is it's a team sport. There's so many parties involved. It's such a big check that when you all work together to get a deal done, good things happen. And I definitely think it's a very small world. I know that when you do things right, good things happen. When you don't, you're not around too long. So yeah, we're actually about to put in a letter of intent on the property where we're going to ask for a 10% carryback. So it'll save us a good amount of equity we have to bring to the table. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. Thanks for spending time with me.